So normally I like to talk about the books that I've read. Today we're going to talk about some books that I haven't read yet. Well, hello everyone. Today I'm going to do the Why Haven't I Read These Books Yet tag. I was tagged by Alex over at Tall Guy Reads. I'm going to link his video below. So I first saw this tag when Theo from Rekindled Reader did it, and I really liked it. It's a short tag, it's just 5 questions, and it talks about some things that, for whatever reason, you haven't read yet. Well, I had my choices after I saw Theo's video, and then I watched Alex's video where he tagged me and some others, and wouldn't you know it, 2 of the choices were the same. So I'm going to come up with a couple different ones, but I will tell you the ones that we had in common. I've always known from watching Alex's channel that we have very similar tastes in books, but I was very surprised to see that 2 of the 5 we made the same choices. So let's jump in. The first tag choice is, what is the classic that you haven't read yet? This was kind of a tougher one for me to think about because I went through a phase where I read a whole lot of classics. And I feel that I'm very well read in classics, but there are a few that I haven't read yet. My choice was going to be 100 Years of Solitude, but Alex picked that one. So what I'm going to pick is La Morte d'Arthur by Sir Thomas Malory, the original King Arthur tale. I don't know why I haven't read this yet. I have read some older texts like Beowulf. I really enjoyed that when I read that about 10 years ago. But I haven't read La Morte d'Arthur. I have read a lot of the Arthur retellings, and I've really enjoyed them. I've read all the usual suspects, you know, the Once and Future King, the Warlord Chronicles by Bernard Cornwell, that's my favorite. I've read The Mists of Avalon by Marion Zimmer Bradley. And I have the first book in Mary Stewart's Merlin Chronicles on the shelf in the other room. So I don't know why I haven't read the original, but it is something that I do want to read. And it is a classic since it was written sometime in the 15th century. So La Morte d'Arthur is the answer to that first question. The second one is a fiction book you haven't read. And it seems like most people doing this tag have been talking about literary fiction. So I'm going to bend that a little bit, and I'm going to talk about a work of genre fiction that has literary merit that I've wanted to read for a long time, and for whatever reason, I just haven't gotten to it yet. So that book is Lonesome Dove by Larry McMurtry. This is a book that 2 of my favorite authors, Stephen King and Joe Abercrombie, both say that is one of their favorite, if not their favorite books of all time. And it seems to transcend its genre of the Western genre. So my choice for fiction book is going to be Larry McMurtry's Lonesome Dove. All right, on to number 3, which is nonfiction book. I honestly didn't know that many people knew about Barbara Tuchman, but at least Alex did because he picked The Guns of August, which is probably my top choice of hers that I haven't read yet. Well, I could have picked another one of Barbara Tuchman's, but I'm going a different direction. I looked at my TBR, which is a big spreadsheet with over 400 lines, and the one that's on there is probably the most shocking of all of these choices that I haven't read yet is The Diary of Anne Frank. I don't know why I never read it in school or haven't read it since. It's been on that TBR for quite some time. I have read a lot of Holocaust memoirs, and well, you can't say you really enjoy them, but I've appreciated reading them, what they made me feel. I don't know why I've read probably the most famous of all of them. So The Diary of Anne Frank is my choice for nonfiction. All right, a genre fiction book that you haven't read yet. Well, genre fiction is kind of what I read the most, so I came up with 2. A science fiction and a fantasy fiction. Starting with the science fiction tale, now that I'm reading some Arthur C. Clarke, the top of my science fiction TBR is Hyperion by Dan Simmons. There are certain books that you hear explained to you that you just think, yeah, that sounds like something I would really enjoy. That's what I think about Hyperion. It is a work of science fiction, but it unfolds like the Canterbury Tales, and you get these different stories from these different travelers. And I've just seen people that I trust as far as science fiction genre rave about it. And I really feel that Hyperion and all of the Hyperion Cantos, the 2 Hyperion books and the 2 Endymion books, I bet they're right up my alley. And I really think that I'll read those sometime in 2023. So for my fantasy selection, I did a tier list a couple weeks ago. And the number one biggest comment in the tier list comment section: when are you going to read Malazan? Have you not read Malazan? Or is it Malazan? I got to learn how to say it if I'm ever going to read it. But it may happen soon. I have Gardens of the Moon right here, so stay tuned to the channel because there might be a little announcement regarding that sometime soon. But I do want to read the Malazan Book of the Fallen, which I think is how you say it, I think. Anyway, those are my two picks for genre fiction. And the last one, book I've owned the longest amount of time but haven't read. This is something I don't do very often. If you've seen my TBR or my bookshelf tour, I don't put things on the shelf until I've read them. And I keep a small physical TBR because I just don't like a bunch of books cluttering up the house. Well, I do have this book by Kate Atkinson, Emotionally Weird, that I have had for about 1.5 years. The reason I've had it so long and haven't read it is I actually started it last year and I DNF'd. But Kate Atkinson is an author I love. She's written probably my favorite book, and probably 2 of my top 10 or 15 favorite books of all time have been written by Kate Atkinson. So she has a little bit more rope. So whereas I would maybe DNF another author and just sell it back at half-price books or gift it to somebody, I'm going to give this one another shot. It's taken me a while to get back to it because I found the characters insufferable and just wasn't really into it. But I will give this one another shot sometime very, very soon. Well, maybe not really soon. We'll see when it happens. All right, so now I get to tag some people. This is kind of fun. I like Alex's approach. Who do I want to hear their answers for this tag? Let's start with, I think I'd like to hear the answers from Bookish Chaz. I think he would probably have some really, really cool answers to the prompts in this one. The Brothers Gwyn, for sure. I would really love to hear what they would do for this tag. I think they would have some really clever ones on this list of all of these questions. And let's see, one more. Oh, Andrew. Andrew's Wizardly Reads. Andrew reads more than me. He reads so much. So I don't know if he has any unread books in his life because he literally reads so fast. So I would love to see Andrew do this tag as well. So I hope to see those videos sometime soon. I hope you enjoyed my talking about some books that I haven't read yet. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. You can also find me on Twitter and Goodreads. I'd love to interact with you there. As always, thank you for watching. Until next time, goodbye.